it's honestly not that surprising that once again Star Wars theory is causing a lot of controversy and discussion around one of his opinions, and this one is this. Andor is not Star Wars. It's a world-building show. It doesn't compete with actual Star Wars, Jedi, Sith, the Force, etc. It's just a good sci-fi show. Nothing more. Now, I'm fine with him having this opinion. I honestly don't care that he feels that way, but here's my response, my 2 cents, if you will. Andor is Star Wars. Star Wars is not just Jedi, Sith, the Force. It's much more than that. Now, I agree that the beginning of Star Wars, back when George Lucas created the original trilogy, was surrounding the Jedi, the Sith, the Force. But as we continue to tell more stories within the original trilogy, the prequel trilogy, the sequel trilogy, and then when you get into the books, whether they're legends or now canon, when you get into the animated shows, and when you start looking at what is out there in the world of Star Wars in terms of planets, characters, etc., 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 there's much more than just Jedi, Sith, and the Force. Now, that doesn't mean that Star Wars, and that doesn't take away from the Jedi, the Sith, or the Force storylines. It's just that there are characters out there that may have a connection to Jedi, Sith, the Force storylines, but they're not really involved necessarily with all of that. Like, that's not all of who they are. There are tons of characters introduced in Star Wars The Clone Wars series, in Rebels. There's characters that were introduced within the live-action shows that have a connection, yes, to the Sith, the Jedi, the Force. But they're on their own planet. They're doing their own things. They have their own lives they're dealing with, their own stuff going on. And there are plenty of stories that can be told within the world of Star Wars that doesn't have to connect to Jedi, Sith, the Force. And hopefully we get to see more of that. So far, it seems the majority of storylines we've gotten are connected, or basically are the Jedi, Sith, Jedi, Force stuff. But hopefully, like The Mandalorian, which there are connections to Jedi in terms of, like, Ahsoka, of course, being a former Padawan and everything, and then other things going on in terms of the Darksaber and everything. But hopefully there's going to be more stories like Andor that, yeah, sure, within the periphery there is some connection to Sith, Jedi, or the Force, but they have their own stories to tell. And hopefully we get more of that, because Star Wars is more than just the basics, which I'm not saying that is a bad thing, because that's what it was. That's the foundation of it. But there's more to Star Wars than Jedi, Sith, and the Force. So I get his point, because to him, he wants, it seems, Star Wars theory wants more Jedi, Sith, and the Force. And maybe that stuff would have made him liked Andor, but, everyone has their own opinion. But this is just mine. There's more to Star Wars than just those 3 things.